evening.
7:01.
Welcome to the
7:02.
September 16th, 2024 meeting of the Grafton Cable TV Oversight Committee. We're doing this as a hybrid meeting. Did you say there is somebody on?
Yeah, Ms. Foley is on.
Oh, Ms. Wall. What is attracting us? This is not the most interesting. Although there's some interesting stuff. We don't need a roll call because all of our members are present. First thing is public input. This is where anyone can talk to us about something that's not otherwise on our agenda that is within our purview. Is there anyone here? Apparently there's no one out there. I guess not.
Okay.
All right. Consider enhanced hearing assistance in rooms A and F and other possibilities. I went back and got the new hearing aids and talked at more length with the audiologist, doctor. I'm pretty clear that the Bluetooth thing is evolving, and it really, my sense about my career's been when to buy technology, when to buy the next computer, when it just comes out or towards the end of it, all of this stuff. I think the most responsible use of town money would be to wait until we see how it works and how it settles out for a considerable audience. I know for the people who use the loop, the old system, I know A is set up. I'm unclear about F, and I guess then there's a question what'll happen in G. But I just don't think that the technology is ready. Does anybody else? I just heard
Yeah,
a ding
Mr.
dong.
Jefferson has joined us,
Oh, there he is.
and it is Mr. Tallman.
Bob, can you hear us?
I asked him to unmute.
Bob, can you hear us? Bob?
I'm sorry, Zoom's updating on my end.
Okay.
He said
The
Zoom
system is
was
updating.
updating on his end.
Is there a way to increase the volume on the TV?
Yeah, I get there. Look at this, honey, let's go touch buttons. All right.
The system is updating.
His system was updated.
What,
I had to
like
update- I had to
a
update
new
my Zoom
installation,
to
a new version of Windows, or?
Well, it's just regular updates.
That's fine.
Thank you.
A new,
I got the
a
clicker.
new, a new.
Regular
version?
updates. No, just a regular update. I have to do the same thing tonight.
Okay, Bob, we were just talking about consider enhanced hearing assistance in A and F, that I had brought up, the idea of Bluetooth. But I was just saying, I've looked into it a good bit more, and I think it's not it's not nearly mature enough for us to be investing town money in it until it settles out and we see how it works. What do you think?
The information that I was able to obtain recently told me that the system can be applied over and above the existing system in the two rooms. So it doesn't replace anything, it just supplements.
Right.
Currently, cost of installing those systems would be approximately $5,000 per room.
Yeah, but the thing is that apparently the protocols and all are not really locked in yet. So I think it might be, get some of our other things going. Can you tell us, can you remind me, I know we have the hearing loop, whatever that's called, the traditional system in A. Do we have it, I'm not clear whether we have it in F.
Yes, we do, we have it in both rooms.
Okay, and so we'll, when we move on to the next item, we'll also ask whether you're looking for it in G. And if everybody's happy, we can move on to the next item, which is the status of F, as, where it stands now for use, Zoom, overflow, functionality. And since we're there, you also put forward, and I included in the materials, a fairly good-sized project to fit out to some fair degree from G. Maybe you wanna, well, comments from you.
The Room G project covers a wide number of aspects. Part of this discussion that you probably will have tonight or in the future is gonna revolve around the fact that F was delayed, no one can pinpoint when it's actually going to start. And the fact that we were looking for a possible replacement in the interim for committees and boards that met in that room. Room G has enough room to hold committee meetings. And if room F was taken offline tomorrow and planning board needed an overflow room, if G was outfitted, it could fill the bill. Some of the moving parts in this are, there are overlapping pieces of equipment that are currently in room F that may be able to fill requirements for G if they're replaced under the new room F upgrades. So the price list that you're looking at is just a rough estimate for the purposes of the committee, so they have an idea of just how large the project could go if it was installed in this format. Essentially what you're looking at is if you chose the Cadillac option. It's my understanding that if you look at the first four items in that list, the Oakers smart board, the rolling cart PC module, and the Windows 11 license, the town administrator recently purchased one of these items. And this item, when rolled into a room, not only gives you Zoom face-to-face capability such as we're using now, but it also allows meeting participants to actually interact with the presentation on the screen. The fact that there's now one in the town administrator's office means we could probably take those four items right off the top, because it can be mobile and it can be going from A onto the elevator and then down to F or across the hall to G. The other items that might be redundant, again, depending on when room F is kicked off, would be the items that are listed under broadcast picks. We have a switcher in broadcast, a switcher in control room F, which is a broadcast pick switcher. It's done yeoman's service over the years. If that item is replaced in the room F upgrade, it becomes redundant and could be possibly used in a G upgrade. If we back out all of the redundant items, this could come down as low as $29,900. The one of the other options that was discussed the other day was the possibility of having or asking the school committee to alter their meeting night so that they could use room A on an off evening. So there's a lot of moving parts in the discussion, and until the RFP is finalized by the engineer that was hired by Mr. Berger, until he signs off on the final version of the RFP, and when it finally gets submitted to the public, we'll have a better idea of when this project might take place.
The RFP for F?
Correct.
Okay, so the taking down of F is not immediately on the horizon, right? It's gotta be a little ways
If I had to
out.
bet on it, I would say probably I mean, I'm guessing, but I'm guessing a month. I mean, the consultant was on vacation, so I don't think he went overseas. I think he's local. So give him a couple of weeks and then, who knows, a week to sign off on it. It could happen quickly, but
Depending on how easy it is to get all that equipment. You, you show, you're gonna have essentially two control rooms in F when you get done, two switchers.
yeah, again, this was a conversation I had with, some people in the building to, prove the concept that it could conceivably work. I drew up a couple of different sketches and discussed it with the town administrator, and one of the sketches he was not in favor of because it would have blocked off one of the doors in the room. So we came up with the idea, when we measured the room F control booth, we essentially have way too much room for the operation that takes place in that room. So by measuring the width of the door and then putting up some blue tape, we figured out that we could install a second door, and facilities might be able to put up a wall to separate the two spaces. And again, with the possibility of using redundant equipment, it could be taken out of the existing F, put into the new control booth, which would take care of G, and kill two birds with one stone. Because one of the things that we had to try and figure out was, could a booth operator control two meetings at the same time? And the answer quickly was proven to be no, because A, you want the operator to be focused on the meeting at hand in front of him, and secondly, the number of inputs are limited on these switchers. So I'm hopeful that the redundancy would be able to help us solve some of these problems and keep the costs down.
Even if someone were running both meetings, I think they'd have to have separate switchers.
Right, there have to be two switchers and the two set.
You mentioned the inputs, which,
Right.
that's been a limitation on our switchers. Like, I think upstairs we have one less camera than downstairs, and I seem to remember, it's been a long time now, seem to remember that part of that was the number of inputs we had. I don't know though, because the switchers, you're doing pretty much the same switcher everywhere, aren't you?
Right, they're very similar.
Yeah. Now, where does this fit into budgeting?
This project has not been budgeted, so this project would have to be built into the next budget and would possibly go before town meeting for approval.
So, if we don't have a budget for it, you can't do it very soon, can you?
Again, that's the question mark. We didn't know when room F was coming offline. We didn't know when we would have to move on a project like G. We didn't know where school committee would end up. So there's so many moving parts, and
Yeah.
we're all in the same boat. Nobody has any answers.
But the main thing is you've gotta get town meeting approval to take that money, to use the money, and that's not gonna happen until May, so.
Correct.
When is it now? It's, September. It's too late to get into the fall.
So if I may, we budgeted for $404,000 out of Pay Access for FY '25. And there's no way we're gonna spend all of that. So there might be some wiggle room in money that has already been allocated if we chose to go forward with this in a quicker motion just to get us through while F goes offline. But that would be something that, you know, the committee would have to decide, are we interested in moving forward? And what's the budget we wanna put on it, and then go digging to see if that money, how much of that money could possibly be available.
Yeah. This is back to the budget thing, and how in the past we did it differently than we've been trying to do it recently. But okay. I wonder, it also means another person, doesn't it? If you have all three rooms being used separate, well, all three rooms being personed, and
I'm always available to jump into any situation if need be,
Yeah,
but in theory, the person, let's say we had 3 meetings. We had a meeting in A, a meeting in F, and a new meeting in the new room G. In theory, if we were caught between a rock and a hard place, the upstairs booth operator could start the recording in room G and go back into room F and control that meeting.
yeah.
And the cameras would be set on a wide shot. It wouldn't be pretty, but it would be to fill the needs for the town. It would be a recorded government meeting. It would be burned onto a disc. It would still get up to YouTube. It would still get onto the channel.
But not
But
switch.
we have members, we have people available who, from time to time, can come in and cover meetings for us. Ben Clemens, who is a high school senior, he has been covering school committee for quite some time now. And he's available simply by texting. I mean, he tells us
Okay.
when he can cover and when he can't. And
Okay, so, all very interesting. I don't know a lot of other towns our size that have 3 fully equipped. We don't have enough, well, yeah, we have to record because we only have 1 or maybe 2 channels, that we can go out loud on. Go ahead.
So I'll say currently in Grafton, we're supposed to be using the rooms that can record like A and F before we start scheduling meetings in room G. But pretty chronically, there's a few committees that continue to meet in G even though A and F are available. So they're going uncaptured. So I'm in big support of having G turn into a room similar to this so we can start capturing the meetings that are insisting on meeting in there and going uncaptured.
My sense is that you don't need any decisions from us tonight, Bob.
no, no.
We have all that money. Let's do what we need to do, but, anyway, certainly worth pursuing. Don't you, did anybody disagree with that?
No, as a treasurer though, if this is something we're interested in pursuing and doing in FY 25, if you guys give me the green light, I'll see if I can find $45,000, if that's even available, or if it needs to be, if it's even possible this year, or if it's something that we consider bringing to the spring town meeting.
It's gonna be, first, there's the question of what offset, he brought the total down by moving equipment and so on, and, maybe that's really a question of when the money has to be spent. In other words, take the cameras over there, but then you're gonna have to get the cameras to bring F back up, and it's a pretty, you and Bob may spend some quality time.
That's fine with me, like hanging out with Bob. No, but what I'm saying is, if the Cadillac version is $45,000, and I can find $45,000, then we're golden. If I can only find $25,000, and we're still in a rush to do it, then we pare it down to match what we can find. And I just wanna make sure you guys are
Yeah.
comfortable with me going
Yeah.
forward and looking for that, or if you don't, if you want me to wait, or what you want me to do.
That's between you and Bob to figure out.
Okay, so you guys are-
Where
I'm hearing-
and the money.
Yep,
Alright.
I'll be in favor.
Okay.
I'm in
All right.
favor.
Well, we don't need any vote, I don't think. Bob, do you wanna have any discussion, under the item of, things we can do to promote our cable programming throughout the community?
I don't have any opinions one way or the other on that topic. I was gonna wait to see what the committee came up with.
Okay. Do you wanna hang in and we'll talk about it, or come back?
Have you already discussed the studio report? Were there any questions on that?
No, that, for some reason it ends up way down. I also have the, which you may not be too interested in, but the low power radio. You might remember when we talked a tiny bit about 30 years ago about that in the committee. But
So having a background in radio, my first reaction was radio's a 24-hour medium. And I know where the programming comes for Grafton Community Television, because I program all three channels. I'm curious to see, and maybe Walter has information, where the programming for low-power radio stations comes from. And would that require additional staffing?
Does it
My other
fit,
thought, and my other thought was, what about the FCC?
the FCC?
Yeah.
Well, there's a process, that you do with that, at least remembering what it was back, whatever it was, 30 years ago when I was interested in it. But it didn't exactly fit in, the same as you say now, have a source of programming that's useful, I'm not sure. Where was I going? Well, okay, other people have thoughts.
He does, I guess.
Well, my question I'd have is that, for the sake of cable TV, where's the video in this radio station? How is radio connected with television broadcast? The subscribers that are paying into it, how is radio related to public access for television? How is that connected?
It may or may not be.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So how can you use the funds for it?
Yeah, well, I didn't ask yet about that, but, our funds are limited to cable uses.
Right.
And we've been pretty generous in looking at that, but radio, if there was something really, really good that we could do with it, I might think
Could we,
about it.
could we also show a test pattern along with this radio broadcast?
Well, no, one of the primary reasons that I voiced that interest in it is that today a lot of radio stations are becoming syndicated, right? And they're being broadcasting programming that's from another source that has nothing to do even with the local community.
Yeah,
If there was a disaster or something like that,
listen,
yeah, but,
I
no,
totally agree with
but
what
to
you have to
set-
say.
But to set the ground for that, and the only reason I bring it up is to, debate, question, chat about if there is any value for Grafton, should there be some type of an emergency where we need to communicate with the population
I agree.
quickly. And I think an FM radio of that
It-
nature, the
it
way
would-
the FCC defines it.
Yeah,
I
Definitely.
believe the town already has that, what called red, what everybody
but,
is notified.
but even still, if we had our own, if the town has its own radio station, it could do just as you're suggesting, and it would be a very useful tool. But
That's-
where's the connection with
this could
cable
be an
TV
extra-
funds?
Well, if we could use it, use some of it, we could air some of the audio from the meetings over the system itself. It's not to say that people are gonna be there. I'm looking more for the expediency of having it in place as a resource, should we need it in an emergency situation. And, okay, so we just automatically feed, it's automated, you feed audio from whatever it might be on our cable system that's putting out through the audio of the radio frequency, and justify it that way. I don't know, it may be hoax, but I think it's worth,
Do you know, any other communities that are doing that?
I don't offhand.
That might be if you're interested, might be good to look into. A radio station's not trivial. You have licenses, you have to, I'm sure that the equipment is not like WBZ, but there is a whole,
There is to it, it's inexpensive, and we're only talking distribution like 3 miles, something like that, radius. So it's not, and I remember looking into this when I lived out west, because there was a lot of interest out in California at the time. And, I don't recall exactly what the total amount was to invest in it, but it didn't seem like it was much at all. It's not like hundreds of thousands or several thousands, it's relatively inexpensive.
yeah, well, I once started working on doing ham radio, and, no, there's a lot of other things. I'd say if you find some examples, we
Well, I
we
could
can look
check
more.
with, yeah, I could check
Okay?
with the FCC on that and see if there are some, sure.
But to Carl's point, as far as emergencies go right now, we do have the code red and the reverse 911, so there are
Mhm.
ways to get into
To
people
communicate.
quickly.
But then there may be no reason for this then.
Yeah,
Because if that
yeah.
is the case, yeah.
Not to say there's no reason, it interests you, you wanna look into it, I'd love to hear more about it, but, you know, if we can't fund it, or if we already have it, if it's redundant,
Yeah, if it's redundant, there's no reason for it, then I'd
Yeah.
rather see the money be spent in a different way.
I could easily see the seniors in the high school putting on a radio show, having radio broadcasts, and also doing the emergency stuff that would come into play. Just like some of the prep schools have their own radio stations at their prep schools and things like that. So maybe the town should have a radio station, but I think there's a separation between cable
Oh, yeah,
TV
yeah.
and the radio.
I'd personally like to see investment in podcast equipment. We have the municipals, the high school kids, I could see them doing podcasts, and that's nicer, cause you don't have to remember to tune in at 7 o'clock at night, you can listen to it at your leisure, and, you know, when new episodes come out, and you
Oh.
can. Oh no,
I'd be happy to reach out to Attorney Bill August, because my guess is he would have some strong feelings one way or the other about the legitimacy of using cable TV funds for radio.
Yeah.
You remind me of when I was in college, Northeastern had a radio station.
Yes.
A student-run radio station, and it was like a very small
Same
radio
here,
station.
Same thing.
More or less a closet, and they had, I don't know whether they played records or
Or you
I
spun
think
the
it was a little
spin the
early for
vinyl,
tape.
yeah.
Or the
Okay.
cart machines and
Oh,
things
boy,
like that, sure.
that-
Yeah, no, I don't think we were quite that far up.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was after World War II, but not very far.
Reel to reel then.
Actually, it was after Korea.
Are you talking about wire recorders now, or?
Many
Okay,
moons ago.
okay,
Okay.
Bob wants to move
Yes,
on.
of course.
I know. Okay, access activity report, Bob.
I don't have the report in front of me. Did you have any questions about it? Actually, I'm more interested, did you have any questions about the invoices?
About,
Because the access report's pretty straightforward, so.
I just have one on the WB Mason one, that letter they sent for the $62, you guys paid that back in July, so is the new amount, that $200 amount, does that include the $60, or? That's just curiosity for me.
WB Mason issued a credit on our account for something that was returned or broken, I don't remember the circumstances. We had a credit balance, and the credit balance was for $64.12 or thereabouts, and their business practice is to not issue a new invoice for a credit balance. So they send you demand letters asking you to pay your past due balance. Well, we didn't have a past due balance, we had credit. So I finally, after talking it over with Mary Lauria, and we just decided to sit on the $64 credit until the next time that we order drinking water or office supplies, and just applied the invoice number from that to the credit balance, and that wiped it out, so it's been taken care of.
Thank you.
okay. Anything else? Bob, committee,
Nope, I'm good.
everybody happy? Is there anything else that you'd like Bob to be available for?
Oh,
Did you
thanks.
did you want me to reach out to Attorney August on the radio question?
Why not?
Okay,
Would you be able to return next meeting?
my plan is to come back quarterly as the select board recommended.
Thank you for coming in.
Okay. Have a great night.
Thank you, good night.
Good night.
All right, back to promoting our programming. Ideas, discuss ideas.
Maybe, is there a way, you mentioned, Corson, last time that there was something done like this in the past?
Yes.
Maybe if you.
John LaPointe, He was our publicist.
He used to write articles that got put in the Grafton News when there was a Grafton News that, you know, had,
Yep.
based on local news.
And the stuff even went to the Telegram too.
And I think once I got a website going, I think I put it up there, and, you know, some of that. But that's the main thing. Other than now we let there's always the watch what the selectmen did last night on video that came through here. But that's, I'd like to see public access. You know, people making videos that address things and are useful.
Classes, when we might have the next go-round of classes to teach people about it.
You know, we've pretty much drifted away from self-production. The equipment's gotten fairly complicated, and what you learn in the course, it's been a while since they had one, I think. Used to be like 2 courses a year, and you'd learn basics of how to make television.
I went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. I went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Oh, well, all right. But you had to do that, and then you got I've still got my card from '84, '85. That, okay, now I'm a certified producer, and I can take equipment out, and I can do things. Nowadays, it doesn't seem to work that way. It seems like you come in here, and whoever's on duty works with you and films you, whatever you want to do in the studio.
Well, I also think that that's important to do because to protect the equipment
Correct.
and maintain the health, the quality of the equipment, because
Correct.
I wouldn't let anybody off the street come in and
Well,
put their hands on stuff. I wouldn't.
the
Originally, that's how it was.
Yeah, the fundamental point of all this cable was public access. We had someone who felt the select board, the selectmen, the Board of Selectmen, should be on television, and they didn't think so. So he checked a camera out every other Tuesday and went to the meeting and taped it, and it went on a channel. And we have, there's been a number of things like that where somebody, an individual wanted to put something out. And that was the fundamental idea of really cable access back in the when we started. It's drifted, you don't see that so much. And I think a lot of people don't realize they have that opportunity. But anybody with this can make a video with a little bit of reading or watching a few YouTube videos about how to make video. So, I don't know.
Well, in my mind, I would tend to think that like social media obviously would probably be the primary channel if we were to promote something.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no cost to it, the whole bit. Does that then take the form of a blog? That could be done perhaps on a monthly basis to highlight some of the big programs or special programming that we might be putting on there. Maybe it's just more a matter of brainstorming of how we can do something like that, because if we don't tell people, or find ways to communicate what's really on there, we're putting it up there and we're just hoping that they're going to tune into the channel and see it, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other way that it's promoted in the community.
We can capture more things too, and we could get the fire department involved. Here's your smoke detector, and every 3 months play that one, or have the police officer show you how to check your tire pressure. It's just something now you're going to see community people that you hopefully see while you're out. Maybe even capturing events that are happening at the senior center. If you can't make it to it, but you heard about it and you wanted to see it, just just capturing what's already happening rather than necessarily creating something new. You know, when India's Independence Day, when they do that every summer, I think that would be a great thing to capture. It grows and grows every year, and just really capturing what's already happening.
I'm fuzzy about, is this somehow connecting to programming, or is this a different function? The time, because like Bill, what's his name? The assistant TA, he's doing a good, you know, there's a fair amount of putting stuff out. You have to draw an audience. This is push or pull. If we're pushing, there gotta be people there, to listen. And that's true in all of these. And I definitely don't think I'm the one to do a blog.
Well, there's nothing done in a local paper like a, you know,
Well, we have
Just
a
like
paper
that,
that
you
has
change it.
grafted at the top of it.
Yes.
It's published in Worcester or somewhere. Actually, for some reason, our subscription disappeared and we don't get it anymore. I mean, I got it for 45 years. So I don't even know. I know that they're putting the ads for the public hearings in there. And that's about all I know. And I don't, it used to be that everybody got the paper. Now, I have no idea. But I don't see any mention of it. So, somebody wants to put forward an idea for, you know, putting something up, we can think about it or look at the possibility of doing it, but I know I don't have those
Ideas.
skills.
I like all of Colleen's ideas, something that's already happening.
Well, but what form is it? Is it posting stuff on All Things Grafton, or is it creating whatever it is, a channel, or a group, or whatever it is?
So let's take the fire. Everybody hopefully has smoke detectors in their
Yeah,
house
yeah.
or CO2 detectors. Just do a 1 minute bit of, hey, did you know the expiration date's on the back of your CO2? When's the last time you checked that? Or and then you can push that out on social media. Every 3 months, we push that out as a reminder. Hey, have you checked this? Did you know the fire department will come to your house if you're a senior and they'll help you with this? Like, did you know all these things? And I don't think a lot of people know that.
and use that as the honey to promote the
Correct.
channels themselves.
Correct.
Say, there's more if you go to channel boom,
Correct.
boom, boom for.
Yep.
Yes, that's a great PR tactic to
That's
use. Yes.
So basically, you create a bunch of teasers that you publicize, and then you get them to watch the channel for the information.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
But then you have to have the information on the channel,
Yes.
Yeah.
which is,
Well, that you create first.
Yeah.
which someone has to chase and make happen, maybe Bob. But
That's a good
if,
idea.
if somebody has something that they'd like to do, or, you know, pursue,
Well, perhaps maybe I could talk with Colleen in the interim and
make it so,
throw some ideas around, and then we can come back and
make it so.
share it.
You have my permission.
Okay, Captain Kirk. Picard, I'm sorry, wrong one.
Discuss ways. All right, I think we've pretty well discussed.
Yeah, I can join in on that too.
Yeah.
I'd be interested.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Minutes, review, and approval. I think there are 3 sets of minutes.
There are.
I think there were 3.
Are they okay?
So I have some concerns about them. So like when we were talking about the July 15th meeting, you know I had sent you that part about when we didn't include the vote and the action, all that stuff. So I put that little snippet about that meeting. I thought you were gonna go back and kind of re-watch that whole part, 'cause that
I
was
put in what you wanted me to put in, I thought.
okay. So that was over an hour-long conversation, and I just don't feel like it was fully captured in your version. If everybody's happy with your version, then that's fine with it on the 15th. I have comments about August 19th, but if everybody's good with the 15th, then that's fine. But it excluded a lot of, your input that you had in the conversation, and it was an hour-long conversation. I just don't know if it was fully captured, but if you're fine with it and everybody else is fine with it, then
Any motions?
Well,
Would you like me to put it up on the screen?
do we have any of the minutes, any of the three sets of minutes that don't have concerns? Maybe we can take care of them first.
June 17th?
yeah, I don't have any concerns about June 17th. You correct with those.
I don't
She doesn't have any concerns, so we can make a motion to accept them.
Yeah, which one?
June 17th.
Someone wanna make a motion? Minutes for this June
Wanna make a
17th?
motion?
You go right ahead, make your motion.
Make a motion, we accept the June 17th minutes as written.
I'll second.
Moved and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted.
So. But, so July, you still wanna send me an amendment on that?
I did, I sent you that back in a while ago, August
Okay.
21st.
I thought that was the first one you sent. So you sent an amendment to your own amendment.
So I sent you an amendment, and then you sent out your draft again.
Right.
And I just thought about it more because I've rewatched that meeting now
Okay.
probably 10 times. So it's,
So what would you like me to add to it? What you wrote?
if
have that.
everybody's comfortable with that, then we can just accept the minutes with this amendment and move on.
I'll do that.
Are you
I'll add that
moving
for
that?
next time.
Are you moving that?
If everybody's okay with that, then sure, I make a motion to accept the minutes from July 15th, including the amendment included in the packet.
I second it.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. Now, one more?
Yeah, so the 19th, so I guess when I think about minutes, I don't really wanna have like it tilted one way or another. And I feel like there's a little bit of bias happening in some of these minutes. Like starting in public input, although there was one person on Zoom, Colleen had public input.
That's what you indicated.
Okay.
Okay.
Although there was one person on Zoom, I don't understand why that's included in there. There was nobody on Zoom trying to participate. It
True.
sounds like the committee was trying to ignore that person on Zoom. So I guess to me, some of that kind of language, and then the next line down, it says media packet. It was actually a meeting packet. That's what we've been working on, a meeting packet.
Oh, not a media packet, it's a median?
Meeting, like for our meetings.
Meeting packet.
Meeting, yep.
Ah, okay.
And then on the next page where you talk about your analogy,
Yep.
you never use these figures. You never use.
No, I know, but I did try to take what I said to put in better language what I said, the meaning behind it.
But like
So
the minutes.
You're saying I should not elaborate on what I said.
Right, because people read these minutes to try to get a sense of what was captured in the meeting. So if they read these minutes and they wanna go back and see these, the 14 times greater, 37%, like none of that was indicated in the meeting, so it's kind of like a revisionist history happening in the minutes that really shouldn't kind of be happening. And then I don't love the part where, we're having a group conversation, but you categorize it as Colleen interrupted the discussion. That comes across to me as not great, but, if everybody's comfortable with that, then we'll leave it in there.
You want me to take out what I wrote?
For me, yeah, I would just X that whole section there that was, where you didn't say those things.
Okay, well, it was what I was trying to say.
Cool, it's cool, but that's not what was said, and that's what minutes are.
Yeah. Again, my diagrams weren't part of this either, but
But that's the thing, you hand those diagrams out and they should be included in the minutes.
Once you present them, it's record.
Yep.
Yeah, they were just quick sketch things kind of thing, I threw in there.
Right, so
We'll try to
I'm
get some
okay
sketches.
with, if you wanna take the August one back and work on it a little more and present it next meeting, I think that would be a good.
Okay, so you want me to take out everything that I said up here,
No, well, not,
and your interruption, you said? You want to take out the fact that you didn't interrupt everybody?
well, why don't you go back and watch
I
it?
did.
Okay,
I was very careful about that.
if you feel comfortable calling it that way, I don't feel the most comfortable that way, it was an open discussion.
There
So
was,
you could also say Colleen added.
okay, except you were very, very annoyed and upset about the conversations we were having. And you basically wanted to just simply say, look, put an end to this now, everybody. I don't want to hear any more about it. And that was basically how you were taking upon it. So
You know-
you were interrupting what we were doing necessarily, not necessarily saying you're adding to the conversation. It wasn't that at all.
Okay, I would say maybe you need to go back and rewatch that part. I'm not gonna engage with you the way you're trying to engage with me, that's not how I'm gonna choose to do that. But if you continue the sentence, we're gonna choose better language when we're talking about people, and I think,
You did say that.
yeah, no, I definitely said I would like to keep that included, and I think that goes to the minutes too, we could choose better language, that's all.
I'm not certain what that actually means, but that is what you said.
Yeah, no, okay.
So you just want to say that you added, not interrupted.
Are we heading towards approving these, or are we heading towards?
I don't feel comfortable approving these tonight, I think Corson's gonna go back and do some work on them and bring
Okay.
it back next meeting.
Well, we'll hold these for the next meeting, and, you guys work it out. Which moves us on to policy, which is, I think you're probably, that's probably blurring together with what we just talked about. Minutes have to say where it was, when it was, who was there, what was moved and what was voted. They don't have to have, a transcription of what was said. Particularly because you can go to YouTube or the server out here and see exactly what was said. Which is a kind of a newer evolution of access to what was going on.
So is there a policy that's being proposed? I didn't see a policy in the packet.
No. Policy will evolve out of what minutes get approved. We'll see how, because different people, over the years, different people are gonna have different feelings. You're much more concerned than anybody I remember in recent times, maybe any times. So, that's a new evolution. We'll learn our way through it. Okay. Anything more on the policy?
So are we creating a policy?
What?
Are we creating a policy?
No.
No, so we don't have to have.
Cause I don't know how, Corson shouldn't say so much something or other. I don't know. If you want to sketch something out and let us look at it, maybe,
So I didn't put that on here, so somebody put that on here. Policy
I didn't make it up.
I'm not accusing you of that, but I didn't
Well,
I didn't request it,
I
so
don't know how it got on there
Okay.
then, so we'll just forget about that for right now.
That's fine. And if to your point, if we wanna have more stripped down minutes of, this was the discussion, no action taken. This was the discussion, and this was the action taken and seconded by who. I'm more than okay with stripped down minutes, but I'm not okay with stuff that didn't happen or it has a skewed lens to it.
I think you could have a little bit about, we talked about, the board talked about, upgrades or hearing assistance, and we decided not to let it go, you know, it wasn't time yet to do that. There was considerable discussion of where the possibilities for enlarging our meeting capability, you know, now the meeting. And look at the packet, let people look at the packet, or as long as we have the packets, which thought we had that under control until I sent stuff off, and it wasn't under the control, because the person who was supposed to get it wasn't there.
It was super under control.
Oh, man, you may have had it under, you don't understand how, never mind. I've got this other board I'm on that has got me distracted.
I bet it does.
Just at the moment. I just had to read them. How many page memo, single space memo was it? That just came out?
16, I don't know. I think it was like 16, something like that.
I don't know what you're saying.
I think it was a 16-page memo, is that what you're
I
talking
think
about?
it was, it seemed to me it was 16 pages.
Yeah.
It was very long, and it was single spaced. But then lawyers' memos always are. And that's just a little sidelight on. Anyway, enough. Bills.
We did that.
No, I don't think we did.
When
I don't remember doing bills.
Yeah, when Tomo was here and we talked about W.B. Mason and.
Oh, well, no, but we didn't take a vote.
Oh, all right. We didn't take a vote, you're right about that.
Yeah, I think we, we authorize or we're okay with paying the bills.
Yeah.
We reviewed the bills and are okay with it.
I don't have a problem. I went
Yeah.
over it.
Does someone wanna?
You want a motion? I make a motion that we approve the bills as presented by the manager.
Second.
Moved in second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted unanimously, as I have, I think, everything. Treasurer's report.
So I don't have something physical to give you guys, but I'm gonna make it tonight or tomorrow. I met with Mary at 6 o'clock tonight, leading up to this meeting. So the way the treasurer's report looks, the FY 24 fund balance ended at $782,851.07. The FY 25 budgeted amount was for $404,500. That sounds like a lot, but typically doesn't get spent down, and it all gets returned back to the PEG access account, as they close out the books. So far for FY 25, we've received in $78,662.42, and we've spent about $26,331.50. So I'm gonna try to come up with just a really easy Excel sheet that will just update quarterly of as things come in and as things go out, and that's about it.
You said money goes back. That wasn't true. That hasn't been true in the past, because it's a special fund that goes across the years. So the money you take out, I think, should continue to be appropriated. But we gotta, it'll be helpful to know a current outlook on that. Cause this is, part of this is, they changed the rules and said town meeting had to make a vote to take money out. Well, specifically take money out, and then whatever it takes to spend it is a separate thing. But, before, the money was there and we could spend it, out of it, I think. So anyway, you see what I'm saying?
What are you looking for clarification on so I can get that for you?
Yeah, just, let's see what the current word is.
So you want me to clarify, let's say that he only spends 200,000 of the 400,000. That remaining gets returned back. You just want me to clarify that?
Yeah, I think I know that it didn't back before all of the modern stuff, and I haven't been told by anybody, like the TA, that it's different, so.
Okay.
so,
Yeah, I can
just
get that,
find
I can get that clarification, no problem.
So I have a question, Mr. Chairman, just for clarification.
Mhm.
So the $125,000 that was appropriated at town meeting fiscal 2023, so if it doesn't get spent within that fiscal year, it reverts back to the fund, the original fund?
Well, that's the question.
That was appropriated, some of it was appropriated for the conference room F.
I don't know that, well, unfortunately, Bob Berger stayed on top of that, and there was very little visibility, at least for me, about exactly how that was being managed. He kept saying, it's okay, I've got it under control, and,
You
that's
talking
what I
about that
know.
warrant article?
Correct.
So my understanding is that warrant article is specific to that project, and that project might span more than a fiscal year,
Okay.
and that's how that warrant language is written. So to me, I think that doesn't necessarily close out at the end of the fiscal year, that stays with the life of that project,
So
and when
it
that
extends
project
to a
closes out.
conclusion.
then
Okay. Unless
it-
we need more, then we're gonna come
No.
back for more.
Right,
Okay.
that's my understanding.
Now I'm confused. I don't remember warrant articles focused specifically on a project. I remember a budget for the year that included a chunk of money and there was discussion or input as to the projects that were being contemplated. But it wasn't a vote to do X. The committee voted, okay, go ahead with the room F, I think, at some point.
So we talked about this at our last meeting, you couldn't, you didn't recall how F was getting funded, and you asked me to look into it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I found that warrant article that was voted on at town meeting, and I emailed it out to the committee, and that's what Carl's
Oh.
referring to. So it's
I
a
failed.
warrant article that specifically references
Yeah, I
profits
lost-
from F.
I lost track of that before I got it read.
You want me to send it back out to you?
Oh, okay.
You want a physical copy of it? I got one
No.
right here.
No. Send it to me.
Alright.
Uh, But it's not just that one project, it's in general. For example, we have this, you're gonna find money, and we're gonna spend it on something that wasn't discussed, and we just need to, or, I don't know about we, but I just need to understand the rules.
So for me personally, the way we did F, I would like to bring G to town meeting and have town meeting vote on it so everybody knows it's coming, but I think it's time sensitive that if we can potentially bring G online before F, I don't know. And if the money works, great. Kinda like when this room got upgraded, this room didn't get a town meeting vote. It was just upgraded.
It came out of
Yep.
the
Thin air.
chunk of money that we had.
It was thin, it
To
came out
work
of thin
with.
air.
Right, so
yeah,
that's what I'm gonna try to do with G. Out of the chunk of money we have to work with, if I can make G work,
Yeah, yeah.
fantastic.
And that's the way
Yeah,
it has worked, and you're gonna figure out what the rules now are.
yep.
Okay, that brings me down to the next meeting date. And, for some reason, October 28th was the only one, well, I think I know why, but, where's my,
That's
For
on the
6 p.m.
6
For 6
p.m.
p.m., yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's already in the books, that's fine.
that-
We had all agreed at the last meeting for the October.
yeah,
meeting.
but just, we had already figured out.
Yeah, cause I
that-
was
oh,
over
we're
there
gonna do
doing
that at
your
6
planning.
o'clock.
Yeah,
That's
6.
And it's gonna be a short meeting.
That's right.
Because I got work to do at 7.
There you go.
people might be really interested in that work. No, the 28th is after, I think
Could
it's
still
the
be going
7th that
on.
everyone's
Could
gonna be
still.
interested.
Is there another date after that you wanna look at?
That's October.
Motion to adjourn.
Well, I have a desire here, how about the 18th of November, penciled in?
It's good to me.
Okay.
What's the date, please?
Monday,
No.
the 18th of November.
Oh,
November 18th.
That would be a 7.
Yes.
At 7, and unless there's an objection, we'll try to keep doing it here.
I like it here. I think the
Yeah,
more we use this room and committees can see how
Mhm.
great it is, it's so much
Exactly.
easier than an owl. It's just,
Couldn't
You
agree
can
more.
have
wonderful.
overflow come here.
yeah, well, I don't know about that, but
More chairs and, you could have
it's so much better than an owl, and it's wonderful, and, you know, I just think this room needs to get used more, and instead of using a room like G that's not getting captured.
We're using it.
Yeah.
my personal opinion is that it's not very hard to be better than the owl.
Yeah.
The owl's pretty fun.
It's a good idea that I haven't seen anybody use in a way that I was happy with. If you had a small table, like a round table, and people sitting around it, might be okay. But when you got a room bigger than this, and people sitting all around it, and then people off,
Doesn't work.
which is what I get exposed to. All right, the 28th is, and I thought I heard someone starting to make a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, that's not debatable. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted.